Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something straight from the heart. Relationships don't fall apart because of one mistake. They fall apart because we don't know how to handle the aftermath. Too often, when a man starts pulling away or when his energy shifts, the first reaction most women have is to panic. You start thinking about blocking him, cutting him off without a word, or even worse, begging him to stay. But let me break it down. Blocking him might give you temporary satisfaction, but it doesn't solve the problem. Begging, on the other hand, destroys your dignity and makes you look powerless. The real power is in neither of those. The real power comes from holding your ground, controlling your emotions, and letting your actions speak louder than your desperation. Because here's the truth. When you don't block and you don't beg, but instead stand still in your worth, he will have no choice but to notice. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something real, something that's going to save you a whole lot of heartbreak, tears, and sleepless nights. Confidence is the key. I know you've heard that word tossed around 1,000 times. Be confident, love yourself, know your worth. But I want to dig deep into what that really means. Because it's not just some cliche you post on Instagram or something you repeat to yourself in the mirror when you're feeling low. Confidence is the very energy that decides how people treat you. It's the invisible power that tells the world, I know who I am, I know what I bring to the table, and I don't need anyone to validate me. And when it comes to relationships, let me tell you, there is nothing that shakes a man more than a woman who carries herself with unshakable confidence. See, here's the problem. Too many women think confidence means being loud, snapping back, or telling a man off every time he does something wrong. That's not confidence. That's reaction. True confidence is calm, it's quiet, it's steady. It's not in what you say, it's in what you don't say. It's not in chasing, begging, or proving yourself. It's in being still and letting your energy speak for you. When you know your worth, you don't have to block a man to prove you done, and you don't have to beg him to stay to prove you worthy. You stand right where you are and let him see that you're not moved by his games, his silence, or his distance. That's competence. Let me paint a picture. Imagine two women dealing with the same situation. A man starts pulling back, not calling as much, not showing the same attention he used to. The first woman panics. She sends text after text. She asks, what's wrong? She scrolls through his social media trying to figure out what he's doing. And eventually she begs him to explain himself. What happens? She loses her dignity and she hands him all the power. The second woman feels the shift, but instead of chasing, she steps back. She doesn't block him. She doesn't beg him. She doesn't even question her worth. She keeps living, keeps shining, keeps smiling. She lets her presence speak. And what happens? That man starts to notice. He starts to wonder why she's not reacting the way he expected. He starts to realize that she's valuable because her confidence has told him without words, I don't need you to complete me. You can either step up or step aside. Now you tell me, which woman has the power? Confidence, ladies, is not about arrogance. It's not about acting like you don't need anybody, because truth be told, we all need love. We all want connection. And there's nothing wrong with that. Confidence is about balance. It's about knowing that you want love, but you don't need to sell yourself short to get it. It's about saying, I'm open to love, but not at the expense of my self-respect. A confident woman knows her value, whether she's single or taken. She doesn't shrink herself when she's alone, and she doesn't inflate herself just because a man is paying attention. Her confidence is consistent, steady, rooted deep inside her. Let me tell you something about men. We respect confidence more than anything else. You can be beautiful, you can be kind, you can be giving, but if you don't have confidence, a man can sense it instantly. And when he senses that you don't value yourself, he knows he can treat you any kind of way. On the flip side, when a man meets a confident woman, it shakes him. It makes him step his game up because he knows he can't come to her with a half effort, weak words, or empty promises. She won't fall for it. Her confidence makes him realize if I don't bring my best, I'll lose her. And that, ladies, is the kind of energy that flips the whole dynamic. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, Steve, it's hard to be confident when you've been hurt, when you've been ignored, when you've been left hanging. And you're right, it is hard. But confidence isn't something you build overnight. It's something you practice daily. It's in the little choices. It's in deciding not to send that 3 a.m. text when you're lonely. It's in choosing to smile and keep walking when you feel invisible. It's in reminding yourself that you were valuable before he showed up, and you'll be valuable long after he's gone. Every time you choose yourself over desperation, you strengthen your confidence. Every time you say, I'm enough, you build that muscle a little more. Let me give you another example. Think about a diamond. A diamond doesn't beg to be noticed. It doesn't lower its price just because somebody can't afford it. It just sits there shining, waiting for the right person who recognizes its value as confidence. That's how you've got to carry yourself. Stop being afraid that if you don't chase him, you'll lose him. Stop thinking that if you don't beg, he'll never come back. If a man can walk away from a confident woman, let him. Because confidence guarantees that what you lose wasn't meant for you. And what is meant for you will always respect your value. Confidence, ladies and gentlemen, is not just attractive, it's magnetic. It's the kind of energy that makes people lean in because they want to know what makes you shine. And once you have it, once you truly carry it, you'll never feel the need to block or beg again. You'll know that the right one will never need you to chase because your presence alone will be enough to make him stay. Ladies and gentlemen, let me break something down for you. Relationships are not a sprint, they're a marathon. They take time to reveal who people really are. One of the biggest mistakes I see people making is rushing the process, forcing answers, or trying to control the outcome before it's even ready to unfold. That's why so many people end up blocking somebody out of frustration or begging somebody out of fear. But the truth is, what you really need is patience. Patience is not weakness. Patience is power. Patience is saying, I'm not going to rush to judgment. I'm not going to act out of fear. I'm going to let time show me the truth. Because trust me, if you give a man enough space, if you allow him the room to reveal himself, you won't need to chase or beg. You'll know exactly where you stand. Now let's be real, patience is hard. Nobody likes waiting. Nobody likes uncertainty. We all want answers now. We want the text back right away. We want the call the same night. We want the reassurance in the moment. But when you act on that urge, you end up giving away your power. See, blocking him right away because you're mad might give you temporary satisfaction, but it cuts off your chance to actually see how he was going to respond. Begging him for attention might calm your anxiety for a second, but it lowers your value in his eyes. Patience is the opposite of that. Patience is strength disguised as stillness. It's saying, I don't need to react right now. I don't need to beg for clarity. I trust that the truth will reveal itself in time. Let me tell you something about men. A man will always show you who he is if you give him enough time. If he's serious about you, patience gives him the space to step forward. If he's not serious, patience exposes him without you having to say a word. That's why I tell women all the time, stop rushing, stop chasing, stop forcing. Just be patient and watch. Watch his actions, not his words. Watch how he behaves when you're not begging for his attention. Watch if he comes toward you when you stop moving toward him. That's how you find out what's real. Think about it like this. Have you ever planted a seed? You can't put it in the soil and start digging it up the next day to see if it's growing. If you do that, you'll kill it before it has the chance to sprout. That's what some of y'all are doing with your relationships. You're digging it up too soon, trying to force it to grow before it's ready. But patience means watering it, nurturing it, and then stepping back. If it's a good seed, if it's real, it will grow. If it's bad soil, if it's not meant for you, time will show that too. Either way, patience saves you from wasting your energy. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Steve, what if he forgets about me while I'm being patient? What if he moves on to someone else? Let me tell you something. If he forgets about you because you gave him space, then he wasn't meant to stay in the first place. You don't lose what's meant for you by being patient. You only lose the people who were never truly yours. And honestly, isn't that what you want? To find out sooner rather than later if he's not the one? Patience doesn't make you lose. Patience protects you. It keeps you from investing in the wrong person, from chasing someone who is never going to give you what you deserve. And let's not forget, patience is not just about waiting on him. It's about waiting on yourself. Sometimes we want love so bad that we jump into situations we're not even ready for. We confuse loneliness with readiness. But patience allows you to check in with yourself. It gives you time to grow, to heal, to make sure you're not just grabbing anybody because you're scared of being alone. When you practice patience, you don't settle. You don't take the first offer just because it's there. You wait for what aligns with your worth. That's real power. Men respect patience. When a man sees that you're not blowing up his phone, not demanding explanations, not begging for his time, it makes him think. It makes him step back and realize she's not chasing me, she's not desperate. She must know her value. And that thought alone can shift the whole dynamic because patience communicates confidence. It says, I know I deserve love and I don't need to rush you into proving it. And that forces him to either rise to the occasion or remove himself. Either way, you win because you didn't have to sacrifice your dignity to find out where you stood. Let me give you an example. Imagine a woman who notices her man pulling back. She doesn't block him. She doesn't beg him. She just keeps living her life. Days pass, maybe weeks, and during that time, he's expecting her to fold, to reach out, to chase him. But she doesn't. She waits. She's patient. And in that space, he starts to think. He starts to realize what her presence means. He starts to miss her. That's when patience works its magic. But let's flip it. Imagine she panics right away, starts calling nonstop, starts begging for clarity. He doesn't miss her. He feels smothered. He doesn't respect her patience because she had none. And instead of pulling closer, he pulls further away. You see the difference? Patience, ladies and gentlemen, is not sitting still doing nothing. It's holding yourself together while you wait. It's trusting that you don't have to manipulate, you don't have to beg, you don't have to block. It's knowing that if this man is truly meant for you, he'll meet you where you are. And if he's not, patience will expose him. That's why I say patience is power. It saves your dignity, it protects your heart, and it gives you the answers you need without you having to destroy yourself to get them. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you one of the greatest truths about relationships and life itself. Where you place your focus determines everything. Too many women, the moment they start liking a man or the moment the relationship gets serious, they shift all of their focus onto him. Every thought, Every move, every ounce of energy becomes about what he's doing, how he's feeling, and whether he's giving them enough attention. Well, and let me tell you something. That's how you lose yourself. That's how you lose your value. Because when you make a man the center of your world, you're telling him that he has the power to decide your happiness. But when you keep your focus on yourself, on your goals, your growth, your peace, your joy, then you flip the script. You remind him and yourself that your life is bigger than just his role in it. See, men respect a woman who has her own focus. We notice when you're not always available. We notice when you've got something going on that excites you beyond us. It makes us intrigued. It makes us curious. It makes us want to know more. A woman who loses focus on herself and puts everything on a man, she becomes predictable, and predictability can turn into being taken for granted. But a woman who keeps her focus on her own path, she becomes mad. Because now the man is asking himself, what's she building? Where's she going? How do I fit into her world? And that's a powerful position to be in. Think about this. If every time he texts you, you drop everything you're doing, if every time he calls, you cancel your plans, if every time he pulls back, your whole life stops, you've made him your focus. But what if instead when he texts, you answer when you're free? What if when he calls, you pick up if it fits your schedule? What if when he pulls back, you keep moving forward with your own life? Suddenly the focus is not on him, it's back on you. And that changes everything because now you're showing him that your life has direction, that your happiness is not hanging on his every move. That is powerful. Ladies, when you shift your focus, you also shift your energy. Instead of being consumed with why he hasn't texted, you're busy building your business. Instead of worrying about what he's doing on social media, you're taking care of your body, your mind, your peace. Instead of crying about where you stand with him, you're leveling up in ways that have nothing to do with him. And let me tell you, nothing is more attractive to a man than a woman who doesn't make him her entire world, because it tells him you're whole without him. And that means if he wants to be part of your life, he's got to bring his best. Now, let's flip it. Imagine a woman who has no focus outside of a man. She's constantly waiting by the phone, constantly needing reassurance, constantly molding her schedule around his availability. That doesn't inspire respect. It inspires convenience, because the man knows she'll always be there no matter what. But the woman who keeps her focus, she doesn't just sit around waiting. She has things to do, people to see, dreams to chase. And when he sees that, he knows she's not replaceable. He knows she's the kind of woman that another man would be proud to stand beside. That's the difference focus makes. You see, focus is not about ignoring love or acting like you don't care. It's about balance. It's about reminding yourself that love is part of your life, not the definition of your life. And when you get that balance right, the man in your life feels it. He feels that you're not clinging to him for happiness. He feels that you're not depending on his validation. And that energy, ladies, is irresistible. Because men don't want to feel like your only source of joy. They want to feel like a bonus to your already fulfilled life. And let me tell you something else. When you focus on yourself, you protect your heart. You stop wasting time on men who aren't serious because you're too busy building to chase someone who's not chasing you. You stop lowering your standards because you realize your goals, your peace, your growth are more important than temporary attention. And when you carry yourself like that, you attract a higher caliber of man. Because men who are serious, men who are ready, they are drawn to women who have direction. They want to be part of that energy. They want to contribute to that vision. So many women come to me and say, Steve, why do I always attract the wrong men? And most of the time, it's because they've made their focus all about men instead of themselves. When you focus on yourself, the wrong men fall away because they can't compete with your standards. And the right man rises up because he sees that you're not playing games. You're building a life worth being part of. Ladies, I need you to understand this. Your focus is your power. Where you place your energy determines what grows in your life. If you focus on him, you grow anxiety. You grow desperation. You grow insecurity. But if you focus on you, you grow confidence. You grow peace. You grow value. And a man who sees that will never forget it, because while other women are busy begging, blocking, or chasing, you'll be out there thriving. And that thriving energy is what pulls a real man closer. That's why focus is so critical. Don't make him the sun that your world revolves around. You are the sun. You set the tone, you light up your own path, and if he's smart, he'll orbit around you. Because a woman who's focused on herself, who's focused on her own greatness, is the kind of woman no man ever wants to lose.